You see, Obama and Biden picked up where Bill Clinton, who freed 12 of the FALN terrorists, left off by pardoning the last FALN terrorist bombers. See, real quick, the FALN was a Puerto Rican Marxist separatist group that carried out bombings in New York and Chicago, killing 16 people, including police officers. But on the way out the door in January 2017, Obama and Biden freed Oscar Rivera Lopez. And even Politico could not believe it. Headline: why did Obama free this terrorist? Quote, Oscar Lopez was one of the most violent extremists of his time. The fact that Obama commuted his sentence doesn't speak well of U.S. politics. Quote, in some quarters, Obama's decision was greeted with elation. Spontaneous celebrations broke out in San Juan. Luis Gutierrez, a Democratic congressman from Illinois who represents the West Side Chicago neighborhood where Lopez grew up, said in a statement that he was, quote, overjoyed and overwhelmed by Lopez's release. Oscar is a friend, a mentor, and family to me, wrote Gutierrez. According to the New York Daily News, Melissa Mark Viverito, the Speaker of the New York City Council and a rising Democratic Party star, cried when she heard the news, calling Lopez's release incredible and a morale boost for Puerto Rico. Vermont Senator Bernie Sanders, who lobbied hard for Lopez's commutation, and New York Mayor Bill de Blasio both offered Obama their thanks. And Lin-Manuel Miranda, who has been a vocal proponent for Lopez, tweeted that he was sobbing with gratitude. Oh, look how left-wing luminaries from the Democrat Party and Hollywood came out in support. Look how they cheer the freeing of people who are actually domestic terrorists for killing Americans. Real quick, here's a quote from the New York Times on Eddie Gallagher's pardon. Totally different here. Quote, the violent encounter in a faraway land opened a 2-year affair that would pit a Pentagon hierarchy wedded to long-standing rules of combat and discipline against a commander-in-chief with no experience in uniform, but a finely honed sense of grievance against authority, quote unquote. This no experience in uniform wasn't a problem for the left-wing media when Obama and Biden freed Bradley XY Manning. Nope, no problem whatsoever. And talk about Obama's lack of experience in the media, in the military. Look, there's an obvious distinction here. You see, Republicans tend to favor our warriors, while Democrats favor terrorists and traitors. Now, let's take a look at how the military actually viewed Obama and Biden. Quote, the Military Times. More than half of troops surveyed in the last Military Times Institute for Veterans and Military Families poll said they have an unfavorable opinion of Obama and his 2 terms leading the military. About 36% said they approve of his job as commander-in-chief, unquote. Not exactly a ringing endorsement of Obama and Biden. Now, the media never misses a chance to sensationalize a story, even if it displays their own ignorance and has grave consequences for the subject of their fake news reporting. What is happening to Lawrence, Gallagher, and Goldstein through the media lens? It's nothing new. I want to remind you of something. Back in 2004, the media tried to destroy the life of a U.S. Marine during the height of the battle for Fallujah. NBC cameraman Kevin Seitz was embedded with the 3rd Battalion of the 1st Regiment of the 1st Marine Division in Iraq. Insurgents at that time were using mosques as cover for staged attacks on U.S. forces. Now, he filmed Marines clearing a room with insurgents still inside. Now, we're going to take a look at this, but I just want to warn you beforehand, it's a little graphic.
Fucking faking he's dead. Yeah, he's breathing. He's faking he's fucking dead.
Now here's what Seitz wrote in an op-ed about the incident, and of course he went right to the far-left publication The Guardian. Headline, something was not right. Cameraman tells Fallujah Marines why he broadcast controversial shooting. Quote, observing all of this as an experienced war reporter who always bore in mind the perils of this conflict, even knowing the possibilities of mitigating circumstances, it appeared to me very plainly that something was not right. According to Lieutenant Colonel Bob Miller, the rules of engagement in Fallujah required soldiers or Marines to determine hostile intent before using deadly force. I was not watching from 100 feet away. I was in the same room. Aside from breathing, I did not observe any movement at all." Unquote. So let me get this straight. An untrained cameraman made it his mission to second-guess a Marine who may have saved his life. Now, it was well known at the time that insurgents were wearing bomb vests and carrying IEDs that they would detonate when surrounded. Now, after a full investigation, the Marine Corps released this statement, quote, "The evidence supports the conclusion that the shooting of all 3 AIF by the corporal during the assault on the mosque was consistent with the ROE, rules of engagement. The evidence indicates that based on the actions of those AIF, the corporal reasonably believed they posed a hostile threat to him and his fellow Marines and justifiably fired in self-defense," unquote. So here's the argument. The media and the left have a strange and twisted relationship with the military and its men and women. War is hell. Wars cannot be fought with white gloves and bow ties. War means people will die. Now, the men on the front lines of battle are faced with making split-second decisions that have life and death consequences. For every decision made at a single moment in combat, people who've never, ever had to make such a decision, who have no military training whatsoever, have the rest of time going forward to judge those decisions from the comfort of an office right here in the United States. Yet when it comes to terrorists and criminals, the media and the left show nothing but love. Lieutenant Clint Lawrence is going to join us next.